Hello folks, to another edition of Heartlight Politico. This is a simple vlog, cast from a political eccentric who is concerned about the current socio-political surge of change that we see in our country. The divide, the derision, the finger-pointing, the gaslighting, the name-calling, and the self-serving projection from our leaders on both sides of the aisle. This has created a chasm in our society that we have not seen since the days of McCarthyism and the indecent assault that was inflicted on our citizens by our own government. This is happening again where personal freedoms are unlawfully infringed upon innocent citizens. Pushback is required to not repeat history. We have come way too far. My biggest concern is the rise of misogynist influencers that are gaining many new followers every day. Influencers that have common ground of proclaiming women are less than men. They should be home making babies and be obedient housewives. Their message to young men is clear and dangerous. Not only to women, but to anyone else whom they determine to be less than. Please watch to the end. These are Mitch McConnell's words, where he will highlight the many reasons for the growing concern of the rise of misogyny in America. This rise is supported by a growing number of theocratic leaders who are influencing many of our nation's young men with this dangerous and toxic rhetoric. Mitch and many others are now sounding the alarm, and who Fimri stand behind no king's
It is 2025. The world hums with a quiet, electric energy. We carry supercomputers in our pockets that connect us to everything, all the time. Our homes listen to us, adjusting the lights and temperature with a simple voice command. Self-driving cars glide down city streets, a sight that once belonged only to science fiction movies we watched as kids. We live in the future we were promised, a world of incredible convenience and technological wonder. It's a strange feeling, living inside a story that used to be just for entertainment. It's both amazing and a little unsettling, like we're all part of a giant unfolding experiment we don't fully understand. This high-tech world is a stark contrast to the one many of our fathers and grandfathers knew. Theirs was a world built on physical effort, on clear hierarchies and defined roles. Men were expected to be providers, protectors, and leaders in a very tangible way. They built bridges, fought wars, and ran the big companies. That structure provided a sense of purpose, a clear path to follow. It wasn't always fair, especially for women, but it was simple. Today, that old world of unquestioned male authority has faded. The rules have changed, equality is the goal, and that's a powerful, necessary shift. But with any great change comes friction. The ground has shifted beneath our feet, and not everyone has found their balance. For many men, especially young men, the old scripts have been thrown out, but no one has handed them a new one. They look around and see a world that feels complex and confusing. The traditional paths to manhood, physical labor, military service, and even rough-and-tumble sports are less common or have been fundamentally altered. This isn't a complaint about progress. It's an observation about the void it can leave behind. When old sources of identity disappear, people start looking for new ones, sometimes in dangerous places. This feeling of being adrift is a quiet but powerful force in our society. Now, many feel like they're navigating this new, technologically advanced landscape completely on their own. Section 2. Where did the men go? Vanishing spaces and fading vigor. Look around at the landscape of modern life. Where are the spaces where boys and young men traditionally learned to be men? Participation in team sports has declined, especially physically demanding sports. Fewer young men are enlisting in the military. Fewer are joining fraternal organizations like the Elks or groups like the Masons. These institutions were once pillars of community, places where men forged bonds, shared struggle, discipline, a common code. They were imperfect, often exclusionary, but they provided a container for masculine energy. Without them, that energy doesn't just vanish. It seeks a new outlet, often without rules or mentorship. The digital campfire anger in the manosphere. The manosphere operates like a digital campfire, drawing in those who feel cold and alone in the modern world. Around this fire, stories are told, not stories of heroism or adventure, but of grievance and betrayal. These narratives are incredibly simple and repetitive. Men are the true victims of society. Feminism has destroyed the natural order. Women are manipulative and selfish. The language is coarse and aggressive, filled with inside jokes and derogatory terms designed to create a strong sense of in-group identity. What makes these online spaces so effective is their ability to create an echo chamber. An algorithm on a platform like YouTube or TikTok learns that a user is interested in content critical of feminism. It then feeds him a steady, escalating diet of similar videos. What starts as a seemingly harmless clip about dating difficulties can lead, click by click, to a fire hose of misogynistic rants, conspiracy theories, outright calls for subjugating women. The ideas brewing in the manosphere do not stay online. They spill out into the real world with devastating consequences. The most visible impact is on the safety and well-being of women. Online harassment has become a constant threat, especially for women in public-facing roles. Female politicians, journalists, creators are bombarded with a torrent of vile, misogynistic abuse, including detailed threats of sexual assault, including detailed death threats. This isn't just trolls being trolls. It's a deliberate strategy to silence women to punish them for having a voice to drive them out of public life. This toxic ideology also poisons our democracy. A healthy democracy requires trust, empathy, the ability to engage in good faith debate. We cannot afford to ignore this problem or wish it away. The path forward requires calm, deliberate action on several fronts. First and foremost, we must reaffirm our commitment to equal rights and enforce the laws that protect them. Freedom of speech does not include the right to make credible threats of violence or to engage in targeted harassment. Tech companies must be held accountable for the hate that spreads on their platforms. They have the tools to limit the reach of radicalizing content, and they must be pressured by both the public and regulators to use them responsibly. Beyond regulation, we need a cultural and educational renewal. We must do a better job of raising boys into healthy men. This work starts in our families and schools. We need to teach young men about respect, empathy, consent from an early age. They need to see a model of masculinity that isn't based on dominance or aggression, but on strength, kindness, responsibility, respect, and self-worth.